ask you this question. How does a person know if they're serving God or serving themselves? I think that's the ultimate religious question. Yiddishkeit has its own reward. The meaning, the quality of life, the purpose of life, the discipline, the order, the direction. How does a person know whether their entire endeavor in Yiddishkeit is in the service of God or is in the service of themselves? In other words, are they doing it because this is what God wants of them, or they're doing it because it serves a purpose for them? And of course, the short answer to that question is, who cares? On a basic level, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is, we're serving God. But on a deeper level, it matters incredibly, because Yiddishkeit is about growth, about getting better and more involved and more true in our service of God. And that means that our Yiddishkeit, our service of Him, should be for Him and not for ourselves. And of course, as human beings, it's impossible to answer that question, because the center of our reality, whether we're willing to admit it or not, is ourselves. And as long as the center of our reality is ourselves, our perspective is absolutely biased in that direction, and our objectivity is non-existent. But it's one of the struggles of life, of Yiddishkeit, on a deeper and a more meaningful level. And of course, the Hasidic term that is employed to communicate that pursuit is Bittle. Bittle is a Hebrew word that does not have an adequate English translation, so I'm not even going to attempt to translate it. The translation for Bittle is Bittle. It's about humility, it's about putting oneself aside, it's about loyalty to a point, loyalty to a truth that knows no bounds, knows no limits, and is the truth of oneself. In other words, when a person wishes to pursue Yiddishkeit on a level where they're just not just doing it for themselves, but they're doing it for God, the key requirement in that pursuit is humility, Bittle. Get past yourself, which is easier said than done. It's quite a difficult task. Let me give you an example. Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader of the Jewish nation in the Midbar, in the desert. Now, notwithstanding that when you read the Chumash, you get the impression that all the Jewish people did in the desert would make trouble, the truth of the matter is that most of the time they lived in the desert, they didn't make any trouble. And the proof is, the Chumash doesn't have any record of it. They sat and studied Torah. So the Rebbe has a Maamar where the Rebbe wonders, what was Moshe Rabbeinu's role? Here he's dealing with a nation of brilliant people, great intellectuals, very sensitive spiritual souls, who are living in a cloud, literally and figuratively. Their entire reality is godliness, Torah. They don't have to provide for themselves. They don't have to shelter themselves. They don't even have to clothe themselves. Everything is provided from above. So they study Torah. What role could Moshe Rabbeinu have served to a people like that? What do you need a Moshe Rabbeinu for under those conditions? And the Maamar says, in paraphrase, Moshe Rabbeinu sat with his people, with his Hasidim, and asked them a simple question. Are you serving yourself or are you serving God? And of course they answered, it's impossible to know. And Moshe pursued it, but with a very simple hypothesis. Step out of this cloud. Go away from this ideal world. Go out of this protected environment. What happens to Yiddishkeit then? If it's your own, it continues. If you're a product of your environment and the environment changes, the Yiddishkeit doesn't change. This is an ideal. And that's what Moshe preached. Moshe preached das, as the Maimorim say it. Bittle. He wanted people to get to their heart, to get to their essence, so that Avodas Hashem would be for God, that Avodas Hashem would not be for themselves.